Thank you. Please be seated. So I'm looking at my watch right now and think, wow, 30 minutes to go. I'm thinking, look at all the time I have to preach. And you might be thinking, hey, maybe we'll get out early today. So we'll see which one wins. Hear this story from the Gospel of Luke. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," Jesus answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." So today's lesson is about choosing what is most important. Now, as we know from studying the Gospels that Mary, Martha, and Lazarus were siblings, and they were very, very close friends to Jesus. And what we can see in the story is that Jesus is visiting, and Martha is all about getting everything ready, right? And what started out maybe as a labor of love started turning out to be a labor of resentment. I always have to do it by myself. Everyone else never helps me. You know, the always and never, that's usually a good sign that you've reached your edge, right? Always and never, because it's never true all the time. But anyway, she's reached her point where she is frustrated. She's in there. Mary is sitting at Jesus' feet, and she's working and trying to get things together and pull it all together to entertain their house guests. And she's now raged. She's just angry. Jesus, make Mary come help me. Now, I can understand that. I totally get that. I am in a helping profession. And when my life is out of balance, I might be doing something wonderful to help you, but I'm not happy about it, right? I'm doing wonderful things for humanity, but my spirit's more like a 2-year-old who's in a severe need of a nap, right? I'm ready to hit the floor with a full tantrum any second now because I'm out of balance. I'm out of balance, right? When we give too much and we're focused on doing all the time without taking something in, sometimes our labors of love become labors of resentment. So as we look at the story further, Mary is sitting at the feet of Jesus, and this is just a term to let you know that she is at a place of humility, and she's at a place of being a student. And Jesus is teaching, and she is learning, and they are just totally oblivious to all that's going on around them. I get that too. There are times when we have Bible study. Those of you who attended Bible study, remember sometimes that there would just be a special spirit and that we're just like connected in a deep level, and we're just talking and exploring and we're learning and gaining new insights, and you just feel, oh my gosh, this is a very special moment. And look, oh my gosh, we're past time, and someone will say, I don't care, this is important, you see? I get that from being a student and from being a teacher. Whenever I'm learning something that I'm passionate about and I'm in a groove, I'm oblivious to everything else that is around me. So I don't see this story as one that Mary is trying to escape responsibility. She's caught in that moment where she is being a student and Jesus is teaching. So Martha comes to Jesus and demands that he make Mary help her. And Jesus' response to her is, "Martha, Martha," which immediately my brain goes to the Brady Bunch, right? Marcia, Marcia. It's always Marcia, right? "Martha, Martha," he says, "you are distracted by many things." Now, what I read into that is this, that this might not be a unique experience or incident, right? You are distracted by many. Did Jesus just conclude that for the moment, or is that a general assessment of her psychological state, right? My sense is that Martha is one of those persons who is always working and providing, and she's distracted, right? And Jesus says, Martha, Martha, you are distracted by many things, and only a few are necessary. Indeed, only one. And Mary has chosen the better one, and I will not take it away from her. Boom. I bet that was a happy meal afterwards. One of the things that caught my mind and my soul when I saw that verse, Mary has chosen the better one, and I will not take it away from her. That really struck me. And as I was thinking about it, I was thinking about my own life experience and also about others who have made that conscious choice to become a disciple, a conscious choice to look deep within themselves for a greater awareness, to do the work that's necessary to grow consciously. I will not take it away from her. Whenever we do make that choice, whenever we do commit ourselves to that path, the teachers, the mentors, the workshops, the books, everything that we need will start coming into our path. And what I've experienced and what I've experienced with others, once you start that journey and once you start seeing and experiencing life from your soul rather than from your distractions, there's no turning back, even though you may want to. There's no turning back because the journey has begun. When we are committed to starting that journey of self-discovery, that journey of greater awareness, that journey of greater consciousness, God will not take it away from us because that is the better choice. And what I also want you to see in this too is it is not an either-or situation. It's not like, okay, go to a monastery or a convent and spend all of your time in meditation and prayer and reading and silence or whatever is going on in those places. That's not my calling. And I can appreciate people who can do that, but that's not what is going on here. It's both and. Unless there's anyone here who's independently wealthy and never has to do another thing in their life to pay a bill or take care of a child, chances are everyone here works, right? And what I've also discovered, even for people who retire and who retire well, oftentimes their lives are busier after retirement than it was while they were working. Why is that? Because now they have all the time in the world to do what they love, not what they have to do, right? It's not an either or. What I see this passage saying to us is that we must make a choice to bring balance. There will always be work to do. There will always be someone to tend to. There will always be a need that needs to be met. Regardless if you choose to take time to connect deeply with yourself or not. If you do take out that time, I promise you all the needs of the world will still be there when you get through. But you will go to meet those needs from a different place, not from a sleepy, tired 2-year-old ready to throw a tantrum. It's about balance. Even Jesus had to step away from his work. We see that throughout the Gospels. And Jesus left his disciples and everyone behind during the night or early in the morning and went up to the mountain to pray, to meditate, to think. Right? Even before he started his ministry, he spent 40 days in the wilderness, which in Hebrew means a long, long time. If Jesus of Nazareth, one of the greatest human beings who ever lived on this planet, needed time out to restore his energy, to restore his soul, to focus once again on his purpose and his meaning in life, if he needed it, chances are we might need it too. He stepped away from the distractions to nurture his soul. Now, I have shared with you all in the past that I get inspiration and education and enlightenment from many different sources. It doesn't just come from the Bible. And whenever I find that people from other disciplines are saying something similar to what I see in the Gospels in particular, I pause and I take notice. Because whenever I hear people from different disciplines and different cultures saying something similar, I'm thinking, there may be some truth here. Let me stop and think. And so as I am writing the sermon this week and preparing for it and thinking about it, I'm doing the meditation with Deepak Chopra and Oprah Winfrey called Miraculous Relationships. And what I have found interesting is I've been doing up to day 6, today is day 7, is that the miraculous relationships are not focused on people outside of your life. It's focusing on the miraculous relationship you have with yourself. Right? That's where that's starting. And by the way, this is free. It's online. It's 21 days. So you've already missed. You only get 5 days to. Then one of the sessions drops off. So you can do day 3 through 7 as of today. It's online. Look it up. It's really quite wonderful. But during one of the meditation exercises, Deepak was saying something very similar to what Jesus was saying. And I stopped and I paused and I thought, here's a man from East Indian culture. I'm not real sure if he has a religion, but he is making a point very much like Jesus from the Middle East. Let me stop and listen to what he says. So I want to share with you, rather than paraphrase it, because he says it so much better than what I could paraphrase. First of all, it starts out with a quote from William Shakespeare. He's always a great one to quote, isn't he? Our bodies are our gardens, to which our wills are the gardeners, Shakespeare once wrote. In other words, what you focus your energy on is what you plant in your garden, and that's the fruit you will bear. Then Deepak went on to say, today, you're invited to relax in the infinite space of your heart and let yourself receive. Many of us were taught that it's better to give than to receive. And we may have interpreted this to mean we should keep giving of ourselves even at the expense of our physical, mental, and emotional health. Jesus, make Mary help me, right? But I want you, I really want you to hear this now, because this is the part of the paragraph that really struck a tone with me. And I share this with you in an imperative tense, all right? Hear this. But we can only give love in relationships if we have it available within ourselves. The amount of love that you can give is contingent upon the amount of love that you have. If I am helping you from an ill-tempered 2-year-old, chances are I can't help you as much as if I were coming to you with a clear mind and a rested body and with the energy of healing, right? That means we need to take care of ourselves first. We need to support and nurture our body, mind, and spirit so that love can flow fully in all aspects of life. Now I want to recall you all to last week's sermon because I know you remember everything I say. Last week, there was an expert in the law who tested Jesus and said, what is the greatest commandment? And then Jesus' response to him was, well, what does the law say, and say it accurately? And he says, the Hebrew Shema. Love the Lord your God with all of your mind, with all of your soul, with all of your body, with all of your strength. And love your neighbor as yourself. And I shared with you last week that the word for soul in that passage is not the Greek word psyche, which is usually the word for soul. So in other words, psychology is the study of the soul. It wasn't psyche. It was a Greek word which meant breath. And here now I hear Deepak saying, we need to support, nurture our body, mind, and spirit so that love can flow fully in all aspects of life. So now, to help illustrate that, I'm going to share a parable with you because it seemed to work pretty well with Jesus, and I'll see if I can do it too. Let's say that you've, on watching the news or looking through Facebook or online, whatever your news source is, you come across an article about some children that were severely neglected. And as you're reading about these children and how they're growing up, you see the part where the parents are challenged. And the parents' response to their children's neglect is this: we both work very, very hard. It's not unusual for us to work 14, 16-hour days, sometimes 7 days a week. Even when we're home, we're working. And we make enough money. They have food in the house. They have clothes to wear. We live in a safe neighborhood. The schools are close by, so they can get to school and back home okay. They have everything that they need. And to be quite honest with you, Whenever we work that many hours in the day, we're tired. We really don't have the time or the energy to spend with the kids. Usually they're already in bed anyway. If those two parents were to offer a parenting workshop, how many of you would sign up for it? And that's rhetorical. Don't lift your hands, please. You could receive great judgment. No. The parents were providing all the physical needs of their children, were they not? The older kids can feed the little ones. There's enough food in the fridge that they can pop something in the microwave and fix a meal for themselves. What was it the parents were not offering their children? They were not offering them nurture. They were not offering them safety. They were not offering them love. They were not offering them support. Anybody who knows anything about abused children, emotionally, physically, or all the above, know that. The way a child processes that is how? If you're not tending to me, loving and nurturing me, then I am not what? Important. That's how the child processes. If I were important, if I were lovable, then my parents would be tending to my needs. That's how children process these things. And what I want to convey to you this morning is that your soul is that child deep within your spirit. And no matter how hard you're working and what you're providing for, and you have all the things that you need, your soul needs to be nurtured. And when we don't spend time nurturing our soul, the message we have consciously or unconsciously is that what? I am not important. Why don't you take some time off? You need to take a break. Why don't you go to a retreat? Why don't you go to, no, I don't have time for that. No, I need to be doing this. Oh, no. Here, let me give you something that can help. No, I won't take that. You see? The deep message that you constantly validate is that you are not important. And what I want you to know is that you are vitally important. You are a part of the imagination of the divine. And what I see now at this stage of my journey and from the teachings of Jesus is that the most important thing that we do as human beings is take the time to figure out, who am I? Why am I here? And what do I need to do to fulfill my purpose? Right? But if we are distracted by many, many things, we may never answer those questions. Now, what I'm about to share with you is very personal. I've experienced this, and people that I have counseled have shared similar stories. If we are constantly distracted, and we are now exhausted, and we go to bed at night because we are so sleepy, and then we wonder, why is it that I am asking the questions, how do ants burrow in the ground and keep it all together, right? Your brain clicks in. And all of a sudden, you can't sleep because your brain is so busy. What I believe this to be, and my mentors taught me this, and I have found it to be true in my experience, is that your soul says, finally, they're not distracted. Let's tell them everything they need to do in the next 30 minutes because we don't have much time. And what my mentors taught me was, when that happens, Barton, just get up, write down everything that your brain is asking questions, and then promise your soul that if you will deal with it tomorrow, it will let you rest. And I found that worked. Another thing that I have discovered is that if we don't take time from the distractions, our soul will unconsciously set us up to take a rest. Oh, you have a cold. Oh, you're still working 10, 12 hours a day? Oh, now you have bronchitis. Oh, you still feel you need to go to work and do everything and be super. Okay, now you have pneumonia, you're in the hospital. You're going to take a break, right? I know for me, when I was way out of balance, I got a rheumatic disease that was extremely painful, and I had it for 2 years. And during that 2 years, I had more revelations about who I am, what I'm about to do, and I learned so much about myself during that time. I've shared this story with you all before, and because I know you're thinking, oh, is he almost done? I'll reserve the whole story. But it was during those 2 years that I said, I am going to find the gold in this situation. And I am going to learn everything that I can from this so I don't have to experience it again. One of the things that your staff experiences every year, and it's really not a joke as much as it is an observation, is that during the summer things are a wee bit slow, and that's a time that we don't work as much, but we plan for the rest of the year is already planned, right? We've got everything ready to go. And the reason is because we call it the sprint from September to Easter. Once September hits, we go running, and there's not a time to stop. You have back to school, everything at the church starts gearing back up in the month of September. Choir starts, Sunday school starts, Bible studies, everything starts again. And then October, the first Sunday of that, is Mental Health Awareness Week with Dave's House and all the events that are going on with that and that fundraiser. And then about the third or the fourth week of August, we start our stewardship campaign. And then the first Sunday in November is when we have All Saints Day. And then the stewardship campaign usually ends the second or the first or the second Sunday in November. And then we have our big feast to celebrate the stewardship campaign. And then there's Thanksgiving. Okay, we got to do Thanksgiving, and then, of course, some of you, it's Black Friday. For me, it's Sleep In Late Day. And then we have Advent, okay? And then you have all the events, not only of Advent, but choir cantatas and praise team cantatas and a children's pageant, and then Christmas events and parties and gatherings and get-togethers, and finally we have Christmas Eve. I take a break for a week, and then in January, it's end of the year. We end our fiscal year and start a new fiscal year, so it's end of the year reports. Annual reports, looking at the budget, planning the annual meeting, and then after that, it's Ash Wednesday. And then after Ash Wednesday, it's Lent. And then it's Easter. I know, I'm exhausted already. But my point in that is this. Typically during those times, there's not a lot of time to take off, or when we do take off, we're like resting for 4 of the 7 days that we have off, to then hopefully the next 3 days can get us ready to start again, right? But one of our dear church members and one of my good friends, Janelle Dagan, I remember it was toward the end of that season about 2 years ago. She says, I'm in this wonderful meditation group, and I want you to come as my guest. And my first reaction in my brain was, oh God, I'm so busy, I can't take time out to do that. But during that 2-year period, which I told you I was sick for 2 years, I learned to accept every invitation that someone offers to do something kind to me. Changed my life. So I said, sure, I'll go. And I want you to know that Thursday from 10 to 12:30-ish is this group of people who gather together, and I go as a student, not the teacher. I go as one who is there to learn, not as one who's facilitating and doing the work. And that group has been an incredible source of healing for me, you see. And I share this with you because I want you to know that I practice what I preach. I don't go every week, but I go when I need it, because that group is such a source of great healing for me. It's important that we take out the time. The last thing I want to share with you is another quote from Deepak. He says, giving and receiving are different aspects of the same flow of energy in the universe. Just as every exhalation depends on an inhalation, right? So we can just practice that right here, right? We can put this to test, okay, everybody? Exhale without breathing in. Okay? Inhale, right? Exhale. They're two sides of the same coin. You need both to be involved in the flow of energy. This is what meditation is. It's really focusing on breathing and going to a quiet place in your soul. Just as every exhalation depends upon an inhalation, the flow of love in our lives depends upon our ability to receive and to care for ourselves. Breath, soul. So, let's try a little experiment, all right? Oh, don't be so afraid. Fear not. Breathe. Exhale. Okay, now most of the time we human beings breathe from the upper part of our lungs, but I want you to fill your whole diaphragm up with air. Do it some more. And as you do this, I just want you to concentrate on what's going on in your body. When I do this, I feel tingling in my head and in my limbs and my arms. My whole body now is getting oxygen, you see, receiving all that oxygen. I find it in my own spiritual practice that whenever I'm stressed, if I just do 7 to 10 of those deep breaths, I calm down immediately. So breathe. You're receiving pneuma, spirit, receiving breath, receiving soul. Exhale. Okay, so I want to ask you to do one more deep breath. Ready? Hold it. Let it out. Let it all out. Okay, breathe out again. No inhales. Breathe out. Right, breathe out again. Breathe out again. No inhales. Breathe out. Breathe out. And before anybody passes out, I hope that makes the point. If all your life is nothing but exhaling, eventually you're going to suffocate. And it's your own doing. Life is both and, work and spirit. Life is both receiving and giving. Your soul is important. And what I really want you to hear today is this. God is not codependent. God's not going to stay up at nights worrying about whether or not you're going to choose a journey into your inner self. If you want to spend your whole lifetime without even giving it a second thought and be distracted the whole time you're on this planet, God will let you do that. What God, the divine, needs for you to do is this, to make a choice. Working, providing for your family, saving for the future, kids, these are important things. But the most important thing is that you know who you are. You know what your purpose on this earth is, and you know what you're going to do to make it a reality. That's the better choice. That's the better choice. So find a way to do that which nurtures you. You have to make it happen. Life is too busy. It's very easy to be distracted. Find what that is in your life. You know what it is. I don't have to go through a long list. I know what mine are. But it's a choice of receiving and giving, because the amount of love that you can give to others is contingent upon the amount of love you have within yourself. You matter. Thus ends the lesson. Let us pray. So many of us, oh precious God, have grown up hearing mixed messages about our importance and our worth. So many of us compare ourselves to other people who achieve greater things or who are better looking or whatever the case may be, and then think that we're somehow less important. But as we take time to choose the better thing, to reflect, to meditate, to live within our soul self, may we realize that who we are is glorious and that we are a part of your imagination. And to live our lives fully is the greatest gift we can give to you and to ourselves and the world around us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You know what to do. Go with peace and purpose. Amen.